You would recall that the president of Nigeria a few weeks ago granted pardon and clemency in conjunction with the Council of States. Council of State is made up of former presidents of the country, former military heads of states, former chief justices of Nigeria, serving governors, the Senate presidents, the Speaker of the House of Reps, and other persons that make up the Council of State. So it's a meeting of the eggheads of Nigeria, the meeting of those that have, had significant opportunities in government at that level. So they met. We understand following the announcement that was made by the presidential spokesperson, Bayo Ononuga, that this number of persons have been granted pardon and clemency. And following the publication of that list, a lot of citizens of Nigeria expressed dissatisfaction with the publication, with the names found among those that have been granted pardon and clemency. There were names of persons that had killed and had been found guilty by courts of law. Nigerians saw their names there. Nigerians said no. There were names of persons that had been convicted for kidnapping. You know what kidnapping means? You know what families go through when their dear ones are kidnapped? Nigerians said no. You cannot have the names in that list. You saw the names of drug peddlers and a number of other persons that made the list. Now, the outcry against that list was both local and international. We also had Nigerians abroad kicking against it. And following that, the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has reviewed that list. And this information was also made public by Bayo Ononuga. Bayo Ononuga is the spokesperson to the president of Nigeria. And in the press release, he said President Tinubu signs instrument of clemency and pardons and then moves the secretariat from Federal Minister of Special Duties to the Minister of Justice. He goes on to say, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has executed the relevant instrument of release to complete the process of formally exercising his constitutional power of prerogative of mercy to grant pardon and clemency to specific individuals who were earlier convicted for various offenses. Now, nobody is qualified for pardon if the person has not been arrested for a serious offense, and if the person, in most instances, has not been convicted by the court. Now, somebody can be arrested and then profiled by the security agencies, and the president has the power to stop that, grant the person pardon, and that's the end. The president can also wait until the person is taken to court and convicted. He can be convicted today, and tomorrow the president grants pardon. And that's it, in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 175. But in doing so, it is expected that the president must exercise restraint. He must put a lot of factors into consideration. And that's why Nigerians resisted that list. And from this press release, the president has reviewed the list. And Bayo Ononuga has said that the review is done following consultations with the Council of States. That means the president has consulted with Council of States, maybe via phone call, maybe via Twitter, maybe via Zoom and any other means of communication, or letter writing or emails or whatever. But it is confirmed that the Council of State has been consulted. And this press release also says that the president is changing his mind on the names in the pardon list owing to public opinion on the matter, right? So the opinion of citizens of Nigeria for the first time has been taken into consideration and has been reflected in a press release. It's not a common commodity to have governments go back on its plans. It's very rare. If it is common in other countries, it is not common in my country, Nigeria. We have leaders that stick to their guns and say, we have taken the decision already, we're not going to change. So, but in this very press release, it is clear that your voices count. When you say no to policies, to decisions of government, it's beginning to count. So, public opinion, right? It goes on to say, consequently, certain persons convicted of serious crimes, such as the crimes have been listed, and the persons that were convicted of these crimes, their names have been deleted from that list. We look at the crimes. Okay, serious crimes such as kidnapping, drug-related offenses, human trafficking, fraud, unlawful possession of firearms, stroke arms dealing, etc. were deleted from the list. Others had their sentences commuted. That's a press release from the presidency. See, because Nigerian citizens were asking serious questions. How can you grant pardon to kidnappers? How do you grant pardon to drug offenders? When other countries, you know the consequence of carrying drugs into China, for instance, you are ended, right? They try you, pass sentence against you, and that's the end, right? Human trafficking, how do you pardon human traffickers? How do you pardon people that they've been proven to have involved in fraud, which is one of the problems of this country today? Fraud, contract sums are being taken into private pockets and the roads are left unconstructed and all of that. How do you pardon people with unlawful possession of firearms and many others? So this press release is saying that every person in this bracket has had his name or her name deleted. Others have had their names committed to their prison sentences committed to something lesser, right? He goes on to say this action became necessary in view of the seriousness and security implications of some of the offenses. They need to be sensitive to the feelings of the victims of the crimes and society in general. And they need to boost the morale of law enforcement agencies. You know that some policemen die in the process of trying to arrest a felon. Most of them go into the forest to arrest kidnappers, to rescue the victims. So we go into the forest, in the process of rescuing, a policeman is shot and killed, SSS man is shot and killed, and yet they still went ahead. They mustered the morale to get those persons arrested and then rescue the victims. So society was saying, how do you now pardon such person who may have ended the life of a DSS operative or policeman or a soldier, right? So all that has been taken into consideration to boost the morale of the military men and the policemen and other security agencies that are working for Nigeria. The press release also said the concept of justice is seen by the president as a three-way traffic: justice for the accused, the victim, and the states or society at large. And this also guided the review because the family of the deceased, whose son or daughter will never come back to life, that's still grieving. So how do you release someone that's committed that crime against that family? Okay, all of that had been taken into consideration in these lists by the president of Nigeria, and it's been said that the president has now moved the prerogative of mercy from the Federal Minister of Special Duties to the Minister of Justice, which is the best thing to do. Those in special duties may not understand the intricacies, the nuances of law, and the consequences of certain pronouncements of courts. So they can populate the list with anybody. So for me, this decision to take it to the special duties department of government is the best. Sorry, from special duties to Minister of Justice is the best. Let lawyers, let experts in law be the ones to look at this and know who to recommend, for clemency and pardon. Okay, so this is to ensure that only persons that are qualified will make the list moving forward. The president reaffirms the administration's broader commitments to judicial reforms and improvement of the administration of justice in Nigeria. This is signed by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President, Information and Strategy, October 2000. and 25. So let's look at the names as reviewed. So these persons, they had been pardoned. They had very, I mean, they just had a pat on the back in the first list. All of them, their cases have been reviewed in the second list by the president. So this is the list of persons that have now been considered in the new list by the president. This is manslaughter. Yusuf Awolabi, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. He has served 10 years already, sentenced to life imprisonment. That means you stay there till you die. You get old, you still stay there. Till you die, you are buried there, or maybe you die and your family members are called upon to come and take your corpse and go and bury, maybe in a public mortuary or at home for those that are from places that people can still be buried in their family compounds or wherever. So when someone is sentenced to life imprisonment, the person is to stay there till the end of the person's life. So Awolabi has already spent 10 years for the offense of manslaughter. He's in the Krikri maximum. And in the new list, the president has committed the life imprisonment of 15 years. And reason has been given because every instrument of pardon will always have reason given. The reason here is educational improvement by Awolabi, remorsefulness, and acquisition of vocational skills. I've been a lawyer for many years. I've visited prisons to see clients, right? From time to time. And I'm asking, is there any prisoner that can stay for 10 years and is not remorseful? Is there any prisoner that stays in prison for 1 year, 2 years, and is not remorseful? So when someone is pardoned for remorsefulness, it looks to me that every prisoner in Nigeria should even go because a lot of them have shown remorse. But that's a discussion for another day. Now, Ifeanyi Eze was convicted for manslaughter. He was convicted in 2001 and he was to serve life imprisonment. He has done 4 years already. He's at the Krikri maximum prison as we speak. And the president has committed his sentence to 15 years instead of life imprisonment. Now, let me explain manslaughter and murder. Manslaughter is unintentional killing. You have killed, but there was no intention to kill. But you still have to be punished by law because someone's life is gone. So the punishment for manslaughter is life imprisonment. Murder is intentional killing. You have killed, you had intended to kill, or your conduct is interpreted by the law to mean that you should have known that death was going to be the probable consequence of your action. So these are the differences between murder and manslaughter. Murder, the sentence is death. Manslaughter, the sentence is life imprisonment. So we go on. Malam Ibrahim Suleiman, he was sentenced for armed robbery and possession of firearms. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. I don't know the law he was charged for him to get life imprisonment because armed robbery, most instances, the sentence is death by hanging. Okay, but his own is life imprisonment. He has done 2 years and 5 months. He is in the Kaduna prison, and the president has committed his life imprisonment to 15 years. So he has done 2 years already and 5 months. So he's going to serve the remaining to add up and make it 15. Patrick Mensah, drugs. He was sentenced to 17 years imprisonment. He has done 9 years and 7 months. He's at Krikri maximum prison. The president has committed the 17 to 13. So he has a few number of years to go. Now, the whole of these, from number 5 to number 12, the offenses are drug-related offenses, Indian hemp, many kilos, importation of cocaine and all of that. They were all sentenced to not less than 15 years, all of them, 15 years, right? They have served 7 years, 9 years, 6 years, 2 years, and so on. Now, the president has committed their sentences of 15 years to 12 years. All of them here, they have 12 years now to serve and then leave the prison after serving the 12 years. These other ones, they also relate to cannabis sativa, criminal breach of trust, possession of cannabis, unlawful possession of cannabis, illegal property obtained, and all of that. They were sentenced to between 7, 10, 5 years, the president has committed their sentences to fewer number of years, and reasons have been given for the sentences. These other ones from 28 to 34 has to do with drugs, culpable homicide. This culpable homicide, he was sentenced to 13 years. He has done 2 years. The president has committed it to 2 years based on ill health, right? Now, you see cheating, conspiracy to cheat, forgery of documents. One Umana Kaito Umana was sentenced to 10 years for forgery of documents in 2022. That's when the sentence was pronounced. Umana has served 3 years already. He's serving at the Uyo Correctional Center in Akwa Ibom State. And the 10 years has been commuted to 7 years based on remorsefulness and old age. How old is he? He's 70 years old at the time of the pardon. So that's already someone that is in his descent, um, uh, nearing the grave, except God gives him more life. But 70, okay, so the president has said, because of old age and as a result of remorsefulness on his part, we hereby pardon you, but you're going to serve 7 years instead of 10 years. Okay, Utomobong Thompson Udoka, he was convicted for obtaining money by false pretenses in 2020. He was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. He has done 4 years, 2 months. He's in Ikorekbene Correctional Center in Akwa Ibom State still. And the president has committed his sentence to 6 years instead of 7 years. And what's the reason given? Remorsefulness and old age. How old is he? He's 60 years old at the time of this press release. Now, these are other persons. All of the persons here from 35 to 43 were convicted for conspiracy to hijack fishing vessel. Those are the high sea, maybe those living close to the waters, the river, okay? You see trawlers are coming from maybe outside Nigeria, heavy trawlers and all that. And these persons attempted to hijack the fishing vessels, the trawlers. They were caught, convicted, and sentenced to terms of imprisonment. Each of them was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment and 1 million fine. I've seen someone here that was sentenced to 112 years imprisonment and 1 million fine. This other one, the same thing, 112 years and 1 million naira fine. Is it possible for somebody to stay in prison for 112 years? How old was the person when the person went in? Some very serious things go on in the prison, right? And in courts. So they have all served 5 years. Obviously, they were arrested at the same time and convicted almost the same time. Now, instead of serving 12 years, 112 years, the president has committed all of them to 8 years imprisonment. 8 years. So when they serve out 8 years, they've already served 5. So very soon, they're going to leave the prisons. Okay? This one's unlawful mining. Every person here from 81 to 84 was convicted for unlawful mining. You know, Nigeria is one country that there are some places where mineral resources are being extracted free of charge. People just go in and extract them. Very expensive mineral resources, especially in northern Nigeria. It is only in southern Nigeria that the major mineral resource is under control. That's the oil, the crude oil, in southern Nigeria, the Niger Delta region. But even then, some people are still stealing the crude oil. Okay? So, in northern Nigeria, unlawful mining is an offense, and the sentence is 3 years imprisonment. Each of them has served 1 year, 1 year. So the president has committed the 3 years to 2 years. So each of them will now serve 2 years, and after that, they will be allowed to go home. Now, this one is the one that created the biggest talking point in the country. Maryam Sanda. Her own pardon created the biggest talking point in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Why? Maryam was charged to court for the murder of her husband. She's said to have killed her husband because she saw something in the husband's phone and drew the conclusion that the husband was cheating on her. And for that reason, Maryam decided to engage in altercation with the husband. Some stories have it that she took kitchen knife and stabbed the husband. Others say that it was just minor struggle and the man died. But the fact remains that the man died. And since dead men don't tell stories after they have died, We believe what has been said. The man died, and the courts now found her guilty of the murder of the husband and sentenced her to death by hanging. Maryam is a graduate of international relations from the University of Abuja, Nigeria. Maryam is well connected. She has powerful family behind her. Okay, her mother, someone that has been with the high and mighty in the Nigerian elite circle, having occupied sensitive office as the bank manager of one of the leading banks in Nigeria, so microfinance or something in Abuja. So it became a well-publicized trial, and the conviction was also well-publicized because of the personality of Sanda's family and the family of Biliamino, the husband that was killed. He was also from a powerful family, right? That's why when Maryam was pardoned in the first list, Nigerian citizens did not take it kindly with the president. They criticized the president for that and said, no, that's just a pat on the back. That you don't do that when someone has been found guilty. And more so, Maryam has her case in the Supreme Court of Nigeria pending, which I understand it's been scheduled for argument this month. So why don't you allow the court to decide? And why do you even grant pardon to somebody who is, been found by the court to have killed her husband? That was the outcry. Maryam's own took the headlines more than any other person's own. But Maryam has made the second list still, right? She was sentenced to death by hanging. She has done 6 years and 8 months at the Suleja Correctional Center. And in the second list, the president has pardoned her still. The president has not given her outright pardon today. But the president says instead of being hung, she should do 12 years and then leave the prison. And the president has given reason. 1, compassionate grounds in the best interest of the children. Because it is said that she has young children. The father had died. Maryam is in the, prison. So the president is saying compassionate ground in the best interest of the president that Maryam should go back home. After serving 12 years, she has already done almost 7 years. So in 5 years, she goes home. The other reason is Maryam is now of good conduct in the prison. That's the other reason given. She has embraced new lifestyle. And she's now a model prisoner to others. And she's extremely remorseful. For that reason, the president has commuted her sentence to 12 years. It's been signed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's the revised list. And in fairness, the revised list has not had the kind of outcry that the first one had. Now, there are some legal questions arising from the revocation of the first list and the composition of the second list. The first question is, having earlier granted pardon to the persons that made the first list, does the president have the power to vary or revoke the pardon? Because a lot of people are saying, no, the president had already granted pardon. He cannot take it back. That once it was pronounced, signed, the president cannot take it back. But is that the truth? Now, here is my answer. The Constitution of Nigeria, when you look at Section 175 of the Constitution, has not specifically prohibited the president from granting pardon and revoking it. It has not. Now, there are two things that destroy contracts, nullify actions. And those two things in law are fraud and misrepresentation. So, the president can leverage on these two and then assume the power to revoke. If it is proved, because when you see the press release that has been made by Bayo Ononuga before even this very one, he said that, certain things were not properly done, certain things were not just right, and it's being reviewed. So if it is seen that the president was deceived into granting the pardon, an official of government or a third columnist smuggled names at the last hour for the president to sign, The president now realizes that he was deceived into taking that action. The law would give the president the inherent power to revoke that pardon because there was fraud. The law cannot sanction anything that is built on fraud. There was also misrepresentation. The law cannot, in any circumstance, whether it's a contract between you and I, if it is later revealed that there was fraud and misrepresentation in that contract caused by one of the parties without the knowledge of the other, the law will set it aside. So the law will give the president the power to revoke a pardon that was granted if such pardon was predicated on fraud. Somebody played on the intelligence of the president, or misrepresentation. It was not properly explained to the president. Now it's been properly explained to him that certain category of persons should not enjoy pardon, presidential pardon. The president will have the inherent power to revoke, right? But note that the Council of States will have to be carried along. They'll have to be notified. When I read the press release of Bayo Ononuga, you saw that he has said that the Council of State has been notified of that, and that does it. Now, what's my take in the whole of this? There was a first list. There is now a second list. The instrument has been signed, and I'm sure the persons have now been released. Pardon, presidential pardon does not come like biscuits. It's a very expensive instrument. It doesn't happen every time. It doesn't happen in every administration. I don't know how many persons that the last administration in Nigeria had pardoned. President Muhammadu Buhari, God rest his soul. I don't know how many persons he had pardoned. So it shows you that not every president signs this instrument. It doesn't come like biscuits. It doesn't come like akara. It comes rarely, and when it comes, it must be well done. Right? So here is my take. Government business must be done more efficiently in my country. A lot of things have not been done efficiently in the past. Let's not continue it. Let's do things efficiently. 2, pardon and clemency for convicts cannot be treated carelessly. We cannot treat such carelessly. Don't forget that persons had been wounded as a result of the actions of these persons that were convicted. Someone killed and was convicted. That family mourns forever. Someone was kidnapped. You know, there is someone in my local government area. He worked in Mobile, I think Mobile or Shell, for many years. When he retired, he went back home to set up a polytechnic, just to contribute to his immediate community, contribute his quota to humanity. And he lived there to groom that baby, the polytechnic. And along the way, he was kidnapped, kept in the forest for days upon days. Ransom was demanded from the family. Family eventually paid. And when they released the man's hand was chopped off. The hand was severed. Okay, so this part of the hand was severed, remaining only this part. The man now uses, I think they call it prosthesis, to complement and all of that. So now that man has never forgotten what happened to him. The family members have not forgotten. And therefore, when you want to grant pardon, you can't just grant it carelessly to anybody. A lot of things will have to be considered before pardon is granted. Yes, the president has the power to grant pardon, but every power of the president must come with responsibility and restraint. The policeman has the power to carry a weapon, but is he expected to shoot anyhow? No. He must hold the weapon with restraint and be very clear and very sure before he can use it, right? 3. The presidency has already been embarrassed by what has happened. The first list, then second list, there's already an embarrassment on the presidency, like it or not. So we can't afford this to be happening all the time. But 4, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must be commended for the courage to set the record straight. I did say at the intro that ours is a country where when public officers say they are going to do this, they stick to it. They hardly change positions. They call it embarrassing, so they don't change. So for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to change his position and review the list, I personally am commending him. I don't know what you say, but I'm commending him, knowing the peculiar history of our country, We public officials don't just eat back. They don't take back their actions. So I must commend the president. The firstly sent negative signals across the country, and it was only good for the president to take responsibility without delay. And the president has taken responsibility, and I must commend him. Here is the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I ask, Mr. President, who caused that embarrassment to government? It is a question that you need to get answers on. You need to get answers about who caused that embarrassment to the government. Look into it so as to avoid future embarrassment in the country. But like I said, I must commend you for accepting to even review the list. It's not a common commodity. It's not a common characteristic of our political leaders. So I commend you. But I have said, sir, don't sweep this under the carpet. Look into the persons that caused that embarrassment, who smuggled some of those names, get them identified so as to be able to take action so as not to cause Nigeria and your presidency this same kind of embarrassment. Many thanks there for watching.